Question 1. What event in 1066 significantly changed the course of English history? A. The signing of the Magna Carta. B. The Black Death. C. The Battle of Hastings. D. The establishment of the Church of England. Answer. C. The Battle of Hastings. The Battle of Hastings in 1066 was a pivotal moment that led to the Norman conquest of England and significantly changed the course of English history. Question 2. Who was the ruling monarch of England during the signing of the Magna Carta in 1215? A. King Richard I. B. King John. C. Queen Elizabeth I. D. King Henry VIII. Answer. B. King John. King John was the monarch during the signing of the Magna Carta in 1215, which was a document that limited the power of the Crown and laid the foundation for modern democracy. Question 3. What was the primary cause of the English Civil War in the 17th century? A. Religious differences. B. Economic disparities. C. A dispute over the succession to the throne. D. Power struggle between the monarchy and Parliament. Answer. D. Power struggle between the monarchy and Parliament. The English Civil War was primarily caused by a power struggle between the monarchy and Parliament, reflecting broader tensions over authority and governance. Question 4. Which British monarch succeeded to the throne after the Glorious Revolution of 1688? A. King James II. B. Queen Anne. C. King William III and Queen Mary II. D. King Charles II. Answer. C. King William III and Queen Mary II. After the Glorious Revolution of 1688, King William III and Queen Mary II succeeded to the throne, marking the beginning of a new era in British monarchy, where Parliament had more power than the monarchy. Question 5. Describe the primary outcome of the Act of Union 1707 between Scotland and England. A. The formal establishment of the British Empire. B. The creation of the United Kingdom of Great Britain. C. The dissolution of the Scottish Parliament. D. Both B and C. Answer. D. Both B and C. The Act of Union 1707 led to the creation of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and the dissolution of the Scottish Parliament, unifying Scotland and England under a single Parliament based in Westminster. Question 6. What were the main objectives of the Chartists in the 19th century? A. To gain voting rights for all men. B. To overthrow the monarchy. C. To establish trade unions. D. To reform education. Answer. A. To gain voting rights for all men. The Chartists were a working-class movement in the 19th century whose main objectives included gaining voting rights for all men among other political reforms. Question 7. During which war did the Battle of Trafalgar occur and who was the leading British naval commander? A. The 7 Years' War, Admiral Nelson. B. The Napoleonic Wars, Admiral Nelson. C. World War I, Admiral Jellicoe. D. The Spanish Armada, Sir Francis Drake. Answer. B. The Napoleonic Wars, Admiral Nelson. The Battle of Trafalgar occurred during the Napoleonic Wars and was led by Admiral Nelson, who secured a decisive victory that established British naval supremacy. Question 8. What was the Great Exhibition of 1851, and why was it significant? A. A military parade showcasing Britain's strength. B. A cultural festival celebrating British colonization. C. The first international exposition of manufactured products. D. An economic summit for European leaders. Answer: C. The first international exposition of manufactured products. The Great Exhibition of 1851 was significant as it was the first international exposition showcasing the heights of industrial and cultural achievements of the time. Question 9. Which legislation granted voting rights to women over the age of 30 in 1918? A. The Women's Suffrage Act. B. The Equal Franchise Act. C. The Representation of the People Act. D. The Female Emancipation Act. Answer: C. The Representation of the People Act. The Representation of the People Act of 1918 granted voting rights to women over the age of 30, marking a significant milestone in the women's suffrage movement in the UK. Question 10. What global conflict led to the formation of the League of Nations with British involvement? A. World War I. B. World War II. C. The Korean War. D. The Crimean War. Answer: A. World War I. The formation of the League of Nations was a result of World War I and was part of efforts to ensure peace and prevent future conflicts, with Britain being a founding member. Question 11. What economic crisis occurred during the winter of 1978 to 1979, known as the Winter of Discontent? A. A stock market crash. B. Widespread industrial strikes. C. Severe inflation and unemployment. D. Banking system failure. Answer: B. Widespread industrial strikes. The Winter of Discontent refers to a period of widespread industrial strikes during the winter of 1978 to 1979, which significantly disrupted public services and led to calls for economic reform. Question 12. Who was the first female Prime Minister of the UK, and in what year did she take office? A. Margaret Thatcher, 1979. B. Theresa May, 2016. C. Angela Merkel, 2005. D. Indira Gandhi, 1966. Answer: A. Margaret Thatcher, 1979. Margaret Thatcher became the first female Prime Minister of the United Kingdom in 1979, known for her strong conservative policies and leadership style. Question 13. What was the main issue addressed by the Good Friday Agreement in 1998? A. Economic trade agreements between the UK and EU. B. The resolution of the Northern Ireland conflict. C. Educational reforms in public schools. D. Healthcare improvements in rural areas. Answer: B. The resolution of the Northern Ireland conflict. The Good Friday Agreement in 1998 was a major political development that addressed and largely resolved the long-standing sectarian conflict in Northern Ireland. Question 14. When did the UK officially adopt the decimal currency system? A. 1960. B. 1971. C. 1982. D. 1999. Answer: B. 1971. The United Kingdom officially adopted the decimal currency system in 1971, simplifying calculations and aligning the currency system with much of the rest of the world. Question 15. Which British scientist played a pivotal role in the discovery of the structure of DNA? A. Isaac Newton. B. Charles Darwin. C. Francis Crick. D. Stephen Hawking. Answer: C. Francis Crick. Francis Crick, along with James Watson and Rosalind Franklin, played a pivotal role in discovering the double helix structure of DNA, a fundamental breakthrough in biology. Question 16. What was the main purpose of the Human Rights Act 1998 in the UK? A. To separate powers between the judiciary and the Parliament. B. To codify economic policies. C. To incorporate the European Convention on Human Rights into British law. D. To establish new guidelines for the monarchy. Answer: C. To incorporate the European Convention on Human Rights into British law. The Human Rights Act 1998 was significant in incorporating the rights and freedoms from the European Convention on Human Rights into domestic British law, ensuring that individuals can protect their rights within UK courts. Question 17. During which century did the Industrial Revolution begin in Britain? A. 16th century. B. 17th century. C. 18th century. D. 19th century. Answer: C. 18th century. The Industrial Revolution began in Britain in the 18th century, around the mid-1700s, marking a period of major industrial, technological, and socio-economic change. Question 18. What was the primary cause of the Gunpowder Plot in 1605? A. Economic reforms. B. Religious conflicts. C. A military coup. D. A royal scandal. Answer: B. Religious conflicts. The Gunpowder Plot of 1605, in which Catholic conspirators, including Guy Fawkes, attempted to blow up the Houses of Parliament, was primarily motivated by religious conflicts and the desire to end Protestant rule under King James I. Question 19. Who was the British monarch during the Victorian era, and what are some key reforms from that period? A. Queen Victoria, educational reforms, expansion of the voting franchise and social reforms. B. Queen Elizabeth I, maritime explorations, religious reforms, and the establishment of colonies. C. King George III, agricultural advancements, military reforms, and parliamentary changes. D. King Henry VIII, church reformation, judicial transformations, and royal expansions. Answer: A. Queen Victoria, educational reforms, expansion of the voting franchise, and social reforms. Queen Victoria reigned during the Victorian era, a period marked by significant social, cultural, and political reforms, including educational improvements and the expansion of the electoral franchise. Question 20. How did the British Empire impact the world during its peak? A. It led to significant technological and scientific advancements. B. It restricted global trade and economic development. C. It facilitated cultural exchanges and the spread of English law and language. D. It isolated Britain from European affairs. Answer: C. It facilitated cultural exchanges and the spread of English law and language. At its peak, the British Empire had a profound global impact, facilitating cultural exchanges, spreading English law, language, and governance practices around the world, and playing a major role in shaping international trade and geopolitics. Question 21. What was the main reason for the construction of Hadrian's Wall? A. To protect against Viking invasions. B. To serve as a trade barrier. C. To mark the northern limit of Roman Britain and defend against Pictish tribes. D. To commemorate Emperor Hadrian's visit to Britain. Answer: C. To mark the northern limit of Roman Britain and defend against Pictish tribes. Hadrian's Wall was primarily constructed to secure the frontier of Roman Britain by marking the northern limit and providing a defence against the northern tribes. Question 22. In what year did the Battle of Britain take place during World War II? A. 1939. B. 1940. C. 1941. D. 1942. Answer: B. 1940. The Battle of Britain occurred in 1940 and was a significant air campaign waged by the German Air Force against the United Kingdom during World War II. Question 23. What are the primary functions of the British Prime Minister? A. Overseeing the judiciary and law enforcement. B. Leading the executive branch, running the government, and implementing policy. C. Directing military strategy. D. Managing the national budget exclusively. Answer: B. Leading the executive branch, running the government, and implementing policy. The Prime Minister of the UK is responsible for leading the executive branch, overseeing the running of the government, and implementing policy alongside the Cabinet. Question 24. Which treaty ended the American Revolutionary War, and what was its impact on Britain? A. The Treaty of Paris, 1783. It recognized American independence and marked the end of Britain's colonial rule in America. B. The Treaty of Ghent. It restored relations between America and Britain without addressing territorial issues. C. The Treaty of Versailles. It imposed economic sanctions on Britain. D. The Treaty of Westminster. It resulted in Britain gaining new territories. Answer: A. The Treaty of Paris, 1783. It recognized American independence and marked the end of Britain's colonial rule in America. This treaty officially ended the American Revolutionary War, acknowledging the independence of the United States. Question 25. How did the welfare state originate in the UK, and who was primarily responsible for its establishment? A. Originated post-World War II, primarily established by Winston Churchill. B. Originated post-World War I, primarily established by David Lloyd George. C. Originated post-World War II, primarily established by Clement Attlee. D. Originated in the early 20th century, primarily established by Margaret Thatcher. Answer: C. Originated post-World War II, primarily established by Clement Attlee. The modern UK welfare state began to take shape post-World War II, with significant contributions from Clement Attlee's government, including the establishment of the National Health Service. Question 26. What event in 1534 marked the official start of the English Reformation? A. The signing of the Act of Supremacy. B. The Battle of Bosworth. C. The publication of the King James Bible. D. The execution of Anne Boleyn. Answer: A. The signing of the Act of Supremacy. The Act of Supremacy in 1534 marked the beginning of the English Reformation by establishing King Henry VIII as the head of the Church of England, separate from the Catholic Church. Question 27. Describe the significance of the Battle of Hastings in 1066. A. It resulted in Norman conquest of England. B. It was a failed invasion by the Vikings. C. It was the last successful invasion of Britain. D. Both A and C. Answer: D. Both A and C. The Battle of Hastings in 1066, where William the Conqueror defeated King Harold II, was significant as it led to the Norman conquest of England and was the last successful invasion of Britain. Question 28. What crisis in 1956 led to significant international criticism of Britain? A. The Falklands War. B. The Suez Crisis. C. The Boer War. D. The Zanzibar Revolution. Answer: B. The Suez Crisis. The Suez Crisis in 1956, involving the invasion of Egypt by Israel, followed by the UK and France, led to significant international criticism, particularly from the United States and the United Nations. Question 29. Which act in 1832 marked the beginning of significant electoral reforms in Britain? A. The Magna Carta. B. The Great Reform Act. C. The Act of Union. D. The Navigational Acts. Answer: B. The Great Reform Act. The Great Reform Act of 1832 marked the start of major electoral reforms in Britain, which expanded the electoral franchise and addressed many inequities in the electoral system. Question 30. What are the key principles outlined in the Magna Carta? A. Absolute monarchy and the divine right of kings. B. The foundations of the parliamentary system and the rights of the nobility. C. Legal rights like trial by jury and the idea that the king is subject to the law. D. The establishment of the Church of England. Answer: C. Legal rights like trial by jury and the idea that the king is subject to the law. The Magna Carta, signed in 1215, is famous for establishing important legal principles, including the right to a fair trial and the concept that the monarch must obey the law. Question 31. What historic event led to the establishment of the Church of England? A. The Act of Supremacy in 1534. B. The signing of the Treaty of Westphalia. C. The death of Queen Elizabeth I. D. The Gunpowder Plot. Answer: A. The Act of Supremacy in 1534. This act established the Church of England and declared King Henry VIII as its supreme head, leading to the break with the Roman Catholic Church. Question 32. Who were the suffragettes, and what was their main goal? A. A political party that sought to end the monarchy. B. Women activists who campaigned for women's right to vote. C. A group that fought against child labor. D. Scientists pushing for advancements in women's health. Answer: B. Women activists who campaigned for women's right to vote. The suffragettes were a movement dedicated to securing women's suffrage in the UK, known for their radical techniques and persistence. Question 33. What role did Britain play in the abolishment of the transatlantic slave trade? A. It initiated and led the international movement to abolish the slave trade. B. It was the last major country to abolish slavery. C. It opposed any changes to the slave trade. D. It played a minor role compared to other European nations. Answer: A. It initiated and led the international movement to abolish the slave trade. Britain played a leading role in the abolition of the transatlantic slave trade, especially with the Slave Trade Act of 1807, which made the trade illegal. Question 34. Which British monarch reigned during both World Wars? A. King George V. B. Queen Victoria. C. King Edward VIII. D. Queen Elizabeth II. Answer: A. King George V. King George V was the British monarch during both World War I and World War II, overseeing a period of massive social change and global conflict. Question 35. What was the primary reason behind the peasants' revolt in 1381? A. The introduction of the poll tax. B. Feudal oppression and serfdom. C. Religious reforms. D. Both and B. Answer: D. Both and B. The peasants' revolt in 1381 was primarily caused by the introduction of the poll tax and the ongoing feudal oppression and serfdom. Question 36. How did the Enclosure Acts affect rural life in Britain? A. They improved the living conditions of rural populations. B. They consolidated farmland, displacing many and contributing to urbanization. C. They expanded the amount of common land available to peasants. D. They decreased agricultural productivity. Answer: B. They consolidated farmland, displacing many and contributing to urbanization. The Enclosure Acts allowed for the privatization and consolidation of land, which displaced many rural inhabitants and was a factor in the growth of cities. Question 37. What was the purpose of the Elizabethan Poor Law of 1601? A. To establish colonies in the New World. B. To provide relief for the poor and establish a system for poor relief. C. To strengthen the powers of the monarchy. D. To reform the education system. Answer: B. To provide relief for the poor and establish a system for poor relief. The Elizabethan Poor Law of 1601 created a national poor relief system that assisted those unable to work. Question 38. Describe the main impacts of the Black Death on medieval England. A. It led to economic prosperity and population growth. B. It caused widespread death, labour shortages, and significant social changes. C. It had little impact on society and the economy. D. It spurred advancements in medical science. Answer: B. It caused widespread death, labour shortages, and significant social changes. The Black Death resulted in severe population loss, but also led to labour shortages that improved the economic position of the surviving workers and led to social mobility. Question 39. Who was involved in the signing of the Treaty of Union in 1707, and what did it signify? A. English and Scottish Parliaments. It signified the end of Scotland's independence. B. English and Irish Parliaments. It created the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland. C. British and French governments. It ended the War of the Spanish Succession. D. British and American leaders. It recognized American independence. Answer: A. English and Scottish Parliaments. It signified the end of Scotland's independence. The Treaty of Union in 1707 between the English and Scottish Parliaments marked the formal union of England and Scotland into the United Kingdom of Great Britain. Question 40. What major change did the Reform Act of 1832 bring about in British politics? A. It abolished the monarchy. B. It granted universal suffrage. C. It expanded the electoral franchise and reformed the electoral system to be more representative. D. It separated church and state. Answer: C. It expanded the electoral franchise and reformed the electoral system to be more representative. The Reform Act of 1832 widened the voting rights to more men and addressed the issue of unrepresentative electoral boroughs, setting the stage for further democratic reforms. Question 41. During which battle was Winston Churchill Prime Minister? A. The Battle of Agincourt. B. The Battle of Britain. C. The Battle of Waterloo. D. The Battle of the Somme. Answer: B. The Battle of Britain. Winston Churchill was the Prime Minister during the Battle of Britain in 1940, a pivotal moment in World War II that saw the British Royal Air Force defend the UK against large-scale attacks by Nazi Germany's Air Force. Question 42. What were the main consequences of the British Agricultural Revolution? A. Decreased agricultural production. B. Increased urbanization and productivity in agriculture. C. The abolition of feudalism. D. The expansion of overseas territories. Answer: B. Increased urbanization and productivity in agriculture. The British Agricultural Revolution involved innovations in farming practices and technology that increased productivity, leading to surplus labor moving to the cities, thus fueling urbanization and the Industrial Revolution. Question 43. Which legislation ended capital punishment in Britain? A. The Human Rights Act 1998. B. The Murder, Abolition of Death Penalty Act 1965. C. The Capital Punishment Amendment Act 1868. D. The Criminal Justice Act 2003. Answer: B. The Murder, Abolition of Death Penalty Act 1965. This act suspended and effectively abolished the death penalty for murder in the United Kingdom, initially for an experimental period of 5 years, which was later made permanent. Question 44. What significant event led to the signing of the Magna Carta in 1215? A. The loss of British territories in France. B. A series of military defeats and baronial revolt. C. The Black Death. D. The War of the Roses. Answer: B. A series of military defeats and baronial revolt. The signing of the Magna Carta in 1215 was largely due to a baronial revolt against King John's misrule and his series of military defeats abroad, particularly in France. Question 45. Which king was defeated at the Battle of Bosworth Field? A. Richard III. B. Henry VII. C. Edward IV. D. James I. Answer: A. Richard III. Richard III was defeated at the Battle of Bosworth Field in 1485, which marked the end of the Wars of the Roses and the start of the Tudor dynasty under Henry VII. Question 46. What did the Corn Laws regulate, and why were they controversial? A. They regulated the prices of imported grain, leading to higher food costs and discontent among the working class. B. They imposed taxes on colonial imports, causing unrest in the colonies. C. They limited the export of machinery, stifling industrial growth. D. They set minimum wage laws, causing employer dissatisfaction. Answer: A. They regulated the prices of imported grain, leading to higher food costs and discontent among the working class. The Corn Laws were highly controversial because they kept grain prices high to benefit domestic producers, but made food unaffordable for many others, leading to widespread protests. Question 47. What was the primary purpose of the British East India Company? A. To serve as a missionary organization. B. To conduct scientific research in the Indian subcontinent. C. To pursue trade in the East Indies and India and assert British dominance in the region. D. To colonize the American continent. Answer: C. To pursue trade in the East Indies and India and assert British dominance in the region. The British East India Company was originally chartered to compete in the East Indian spice trade, but expanded its activities to include ruling large areas of India, playing a key role in the establishment of British control over the subcontinent. Question 48. Describe the impact of Queen Elizabeth I's reign on England. A. Marked by religious reforms and establishment of Protestantism as the national faith. B. Characterized by significant military defeats and economic decline. C. Notable for losing the American colonies. D. Dominated by frequent changes in monarchy. Answer: A. Marked by religious reforms and establishment of Protestantism as the national faith. Queen Elizabeth I's reign, known as the Elizabethan era, was a period of religious consolidation, economic prosperity, and the flourishing of English drama and literature. Question 49. What was the Beveridge Report, and how did it influence post-war Britain? A. It was a financial document that led to the privatization of major industries. B. It outlined the foundations of the modern welfare state, proposing widespread reforms in social insurance and public health. C. It proposed strict austerity measures to combat post-war debt. D. It detailed plans for post-war military expansion. Answer: B. It outlined the foundations of the modern welfare state, proposing widespread reforms in social insurance and public health. The Beveridge Report was instrumental in shaping post-war social policies in Britain, leading to the creation of the National Health Service and expansions in social welfare. Question 50. What historical significance does the Battle of Waterloo hold for Britain? A. It marked the beginning of the British Empire's decline. B. It was a defeat that led to significant territorial losses in Europe. C. It was a decisive victory that ended Napoleon's rule and stabilized Europe. D. It initiated a long period of war with France. Answer: C. It was a decisive victory that ended Napoleon's rule and stabilized Europe. The Battle of Waterloo in 1815 was significant as it marked a final defeat for Napoleon Bonaparte, ended the Napoleonic Wars, and led to a period of relative peace and the consolidation of power in Europe. Question 51. Who was responsible for the establishment of the British National Health Service? A. Margaret Thatcher. B. Winston Churchill. C. Clement Attlee. D. Aneurin Bevan. Answer: D. Aneurin Bevan. Aneurin Bevan, as Minister of Health, was primarily responsible for the establishment of the National Health Service in 1948, which aimed to provide health care free at the point of delivery for all British citizens. Question 52. What led to the decolonization process in the British Empire after World War II? A. Economic pressures and the rise of nationalist movements in the colonies. B. A decision by the United Nations. C. A series of military defeats in Asia. D. The imposition of sanctions by other global superpowers. Answer: A. Economic pressures and the rise of nationalist movements in the colonies. The decolonization of the British Empire post-World War II was driven by economic difficulties at home and the growth of strong nationalist movements in various colonies. Question 53. What was the primary reason for the creation of the Commonwealth of Nations? A. To maintain economic ties among former British colonies. B. To foster military alliances against the Soviet Union. C. To compete with the United States. D. To promote peace through sports. Answer: A. To maintain economic ties among former British colonies. The Commonwealth of Nations was created to foster a sense of community and cooperation among former British colonies and dominions, maintaining cultural and economic ties in a non-political framework. Question 54. Who was the first monarch of the House of Windsor? A. Queen Victoria. B. King George V. C. Queen Elizabeth II. D. King Edward VII. Answer: B. King George V. King George V was the first monarch of the House of Windsor, which he renamed from the House of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha during World War I due to anti-German sentiment. Question 55. Describe the significance of the Battle of Bannockburn. A. It was an inconsequential skirmish with the French. B. It was a Scottish victory in 1314 that secured Scotland's independence from England. C. It marked the beginning of the English Civil War. D. It resulted in the unification of England and Scotland. Answer: B. It was a Scottish victory in 1314 that secured Scotland's independence from England. The Battle of Bannockburn is celebrated as a key moment in Scottish history, where Robert the Bruce defeated the English forces, securing de facto independence. Question 56. What role did the UK play in the formation of the United Nations? A. The UK was opposed to the formation of the UN. B. The UK was a principal architect and one of the original members of the United Nations. C. The UK joined only after being pressured by the USA. D. The UK played a minor role and joined later. Answer: B. The UK was a principal architect and one of the original members of the United Nations. The United Kingdom was instrumental in the planning and establishment of the UN, aiming to promote international cooperation and prevent future conflicts. Question 57. What was the primary effect of the Slave Trade Act 1807? A. It had no significant impact on slavery. B. It outlawed the slave trade within the British Empire. C. It increased the slave trade due to higher demands. D. It only affected the slave trade in the United States. Answer: B. It outlawed the slave trade within the British Empire. The Slave Trade Act 1807 was a landmark law that prohibited the slave trade in the British Empire, significantly impacting the global trade in enslaved people. Question 58. Why was the Battle of the Somme significant during World War I? A. It resulted in a quick victory for the Allies. B. It was one of the bloodiest battles and symbolized the horrors of trench warfare. C. It led to the end of World War I. D. It had little impact on the overall course of the war. Answer: B. It was one of the bloodiest battles and symbolized the horrors of trench warfare. The Battle of the Somme in 1916 was significant for its unprecedented loss of life and its exemplification of the brutal realities of trench warfare during World War I. Question 59. What was the main impact of the Great Reform Act of 1832 on the British electoral system? A. It eliminated the monarchy's influence in Parliament. B. It introduced the first elements of democratic elections. C. It significantly expanded the electorate and addressed electoral malpractice. D. It completely overhauled the British governmental structure. Answer: C. It significantly expanded the electorate and addressed electoral malpractice. The Great Reform Act of 1832 reformed the electoral system by redistributing seats, broadening the voter base, and reducing electoral corruption, paving the way for further democratic developments. Question 60. Which British document inspired the American Declaration of Independence? A. The English Bill of Rights. B. Magna Carta. C. The Acts of Union. D. The Royal Charters. Answer: A. The English Bill of Rights. The English Bill of Rights of 1689 inspired many of the ideas in the American Declaration of Independence, particularly those concerning the rights of individuals and limits on governmental power. Question 61. How did the Glorious Revolution affect the British monarchy? A. It abolished the monarchy entirely. B. It restored the Catholic monarchy. C. It established the monarchy as an absolute power. D. It confirmed the supremacy of Parliament over the monarchy. Answer: D. It confirmed the supremacy of Parliament over the monarchy. The Glorious Revolution of 1688 established constitutional monarchy in Britain, significantly limiting the powers of the monarchy and affirming the supremacy of Parliament. Question 62. What was the impact of the Great Fire of London on urban development? A. It had little impact on London's urban landscape. B. It led to major rebuilding, making London more resistant to future fires. C. It caused the permanent abandonment of the City of London. D. It decreased the population density of London. Answer B. It led to major rebuilding, making London more resistant to future fires. The Great Fire of London in 1666 destroyed much of the medieval city, leading to substantial urban development and new building regulations that shaped the modern layout of central London. Question 63. What major social and economic changes were caused by the plague in 1348–50? A. It led to a significant increase in population. B. It resulted in higher wages and labour shortages. C. It had minimal impact on society and the economy. D. It improved health standards across Europe. Answer B. It resulted in higher wages and labour shortages. The Black Death, plague, significantly reduced the population, which in turn caused labour shortages and led to higher wages for workers, contributing to social mobility and economic changes in medieval Europe. Question 64. Describe the role of Britain in the Treaty of Versailles. A. Britain was primarily opposed to the treaty. B. Britain played a minor role and had little influence on the terms. C. Britain was one of the principal architects, pushing for harsh penalties on Germany. D. Britain mediated between France and the United States to soften the treaty terms. Answer C. Britain was one of the principal architects, pushing for harsh penalties on Germany. At the Treaty of Versailles in 1919, Britain, along with France, played a key role in shaping the treaty, which imposed severe reparations and territorial losses on Germany after World War I. Question 65. What major legislative act was passed in Britain as a result of the Chartist movement? A. The Reform Act of 1832. B. The Factory Act of 1833. C. The Representation of the People Act 1918. D. The Public Health Act of 1848. Answer C. The Representation of the People Act 1918. While the Chartist movement directly influenced earlier reforms, it set the stage for broader electoral reforms, including the Representation of the People Act of 1918, which expanded the electorate significantly. Question 66. What was the main contribution of the Iron Lady to British economic policy? A. Implementing Keynesian economics. B. Introducing the welfare state. C. Advocating for the European Union. D. Instituting neoliberal policies, including privatization and deregulation. Answer D. Instituting neoliberal policies, including privatization and deregulation. Margaret Thatcher, known as the Iron Lady, is famous for her strong conservative policies that included significant neoliberal reforms, such as privatization of state-owned industries and deregulation of the economy. Question 67. What historical event does Guy Fawkes Night commemorate? A. The restoration of the monarchy in 1660. B. The end of the English Civil War. C. The Gunpowder Plot of 1605, an attempt to blow up the Houses of Parliament. D. The signing of the Magna Carta. Answer C. The Gunpowder Plot of 1605, an attempt to blow up the Houses of Parliament. Guy Fawkes Night or Bonfire Night is observed on November 5th to commemorate the foiling of the Gunpowder Plot by Guy Fawkes and other conspirators aimed at assassinating King James I. Question 68. Which British ruler faced the Armada in 1588? A. Queen Mary I. B. Queen Elizabeth I. C. King Henry VIII. D. King James I. Answer B. Queen Elizabeth I. Queen Elizabeth I was the monarch when the Spanish Armada attempted to invade England in 1588, a pivotal moment in her reign and English history, marking a significant military victory. Question 69. What was the primary goal of the Statute of Rhuddlan in 1284? A. To annex Wales into the Kingdom of England. B. To establish parliamentary representation for Wales. C. To declare independence from France. D. To reform agricultural laws in Wales. Answer. A. To annex Wales into the Kingdom of England. The Statute of Rhuddlan in 1284 provided the constitutional basis for the government of what would become known as the Principality of Wales, effectively annexing Wales into the Kingdom of England. Question 70. Who was the first British astronaut in space and when? A. Helen Sharman in 1991. B. Tim Peake in 2015. C. Michael Foale in 1997. D. Piers Sellers in 2002. Answer. A. Helen Sharman in 1991. Helen Sharman was the first British astronaut to go into space, participating in the mission to the Mir space station in 1991 as part of a cooperative project between the UK and the Soviet Union. Question 71. Describe the impact of the swinging 60s on British society. A. It was marked by economic decline and increased unemployment. B. It was characterized by cultural liberation, significant in music, fashion, and the arts. C. It saw a decrease in British influence worldwide. D. It led to stricter social controls and conservative policies. Answer. B. It was characterized by cultural liberation, significant in music, fashion, and the arts. The swinging 60s was a period of profound cultural change in Britain, symbolized by the emergence of new musical styles, fashion, and liberal attitudes, making London a cultural hub. Question 72. What was the primary cause of the English Reformation? A. Economic disputes between the monarchy and the nobility. B. Disagreements over the succession to the English throne. C. Religious conflicts and Henry VIII's desire to annul his marriage. D. Military conflicts with France. Answer. C. Religious conflicts and Henry VIII's desire to annul his marriage. The English Reformation was primarily driven by religious disputes and King Henry VIII's desire to annul his marriage to Catherine of Aragon, which the Roman Catholic Church refused to sanction. Question 73. Which act abolished the slave trade within the British Empire? A. The Slavery Abolition Act 1833. B. The Slave Trade Act 1807. C. The Emancipation Proclamation 1863. D. The Human Rights Act 1998. Answer. B. The Slave Trade Act 1807. The Slave Trade Act 1807 was the legislation that officially abolished the slave trade within the British Empire, marking a significant milestone in global human rights movements. Question 74. What significant event led to the creation of the Commonwealth Games? A. The dissolution of the British Empire. B. The success of the Olympic Games. C. The Inter-Empire Championships in 1911, aiming to strengthen ties within the British Empire. D. A treaty among former British colonies. Answer. C. The Inter-Empire Championships in 1911, aiming to strengthen ties within the British Empire. The Commonwealth Games were directly inspired by the earlier Inter-Empire Championships, aiming to foster goodwill and mutual understanding across the British Commonwealth. Question 75. Who was the longest-serving British Prime Minister of the 20th century? A. Winston Churchill. B. Margaret Thatcher. C. Harold Wilson. D. Tony Blair. Answer: B. Margaret Thatcher. Margaret Thatcher served as the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom from 1979 to 1990, making her the longest-serving British Prime Minister of the 20th century.